Long, long answer, yes.
I'm interested in cultural imperialism, and I was hoping to hear your thoughts on, in my own research I've seen parallels between the hegemony created during British colonization and the hegemony that's being created now in India with American media, and kind of speaking to creating the desire for goods and creating the desire to be on that end of the spectrum. And so I was just hoping to hear your thoughts on that.
That's not cultural imperialism, that's consumerism, and that certainly has existed. When we pretend that we are pure, except for the intervention of the United States and Britain, we are in bad faith. I'm talking now as an Indian. And I'm talking so that it seems to me that if one actually works for socialism, then this will, as a corollary, change this business of attracting consumerism, because that paragraph of Marx which says it all, very difficult to sustain because it involves a will to socialism. It's a bit like early Christianity. I didn't even talk about feminism, but it seems to me that if one works at that, then, and if one really wins a victory, and if the United States goes that way, as Marx had hoped when the International moved here, then, because socialism requires developed capitalism, not this kind of cruel capitalism, that's why Marx wrote about England rather than Germany. So it seems to me that that's an epiphenomenon. As for culture, I think that word is misused. You cannot learn culture. You do not know your culture. Culture alive is always on the run. Anthropology is a very sad discipline to my mind. And culture is its own irreducible counterexample. It seems to me that if you learn languages, you get into very, very well. You get into the lingual memory. You enter the culture through the back door. Otherwise, all this cultural information, I think, is not anything very interesting. And let me tell you, in terms of India and China, colonialism, China, of course, it's a different story, was day before yesterday. If you really want to look at the way we have oppressed our own people, you have thousands of years of record. Don't think that oppression and consumerism, etc., is just the property of the Europeans. That would be a mistake. This is why I'm very careful when I say to you, don't, and I'm not Arundhati Roy, just in case you had wondered, that when I say to you that you should not confine yourself to your place, I'm also not interested in self-victimizing. No, I think it's fine. Let's just try to be socialists together, and I think we'll go away. There was someone in the back.
I think you could talk a little bit about how oftentimes women's empowerment is often talked about in terms of economic empowerment and economic citizenship. And maybe you could talk a little bit about how that fits into socialism, or the difference between how it fits into socialism as opposed to the current state of neoliberal capitalism.
You know what I think about it. Again, when Bertha was speaking, I was very much in favor of her when she said that, you've got to have your banks and things. That's what, of course, Seva did in the 50s. Ella Bhatt in Bangalore in India, right? She was very much a socialist, and her union leaders, textile union, said to her when she saw that the sort of unorganized female labor was the one that really needed to be helped, her union leaders said to her, well, listen, Ella, they're not employed, so how are you going to help them through socialism? So Ella Bhatt told me herself, she devised this category called self-employed, and made this self-employed women's association, right? And so what did she do? These were like women who were rolling bearings and they were on the streets and so on. She got together, one thing India has is numbers. She got together 10,000 of them. And she said to each of them, you bring me in a month, I don't care how, 10 rupees. Okay, in those days, 10 rupees was a lot of money. You bring me 10 rupees, and especially for these women. Because she had found out that you needed 100,000 rupees to establish a bank. So, in fact, she established a bank in the name of these illiterate street workers, Seva Bank. Okay, this was owned by them and then they started. Now that's a different kind of thing, my friend. But then, any time you go to Women's World Banking, etc., they will show Seva as an example, and unfortunately, Ela Bahan has gone towards them, but that's a different thing also. So, otherwise, people hit the women because they are, Carol Gilligan. They're supposed to be like virtuous and ethically motivated and not dogs like their men, etc. So they pay back. The payback rate is 97%, and so to think that employability, and also there's no follow-up after the TV ops, etc., etc. Also the women in the garment industry, Joe wrongly called it textile industry, but it's garment industry, and the garment industry is a killer subcontracted into Bangladesh. They get money, but nobody has ever tried to train their imaginations for epistemological performance, the stuff that I was talking about. So their lives are not particularly enhanced. And as for women here, you were talking about the financial crisis. Next, on March 3rd, actually it has already taken place. On March 3rd, the National Council for Research on Women, whose motto is, if it matters to women, it matters to everyone, which is a bogus motto like Bangladeshis, Indians. If it matters to women, it matters to everyone. Presents, and their mission is, the National Council for Research on Women is a network of more than 100 leading U.S. research, advocacy and policy centers with a growing global reach. The Council, I should say. The Council harnesses the resources of its network to ensure fully informed debate policies and practices to build a more inclusive and equitable world for women and girls. Okay, Wednesday, March 3, at Goldman Sachs. 32 old slip at Front Street, second floor auditorium, New York City. The National Council on Women is meeting on turbulence to transformation. Now, I didn't say anything because I was talking about other things, but the commitment to democracy. Democracy is an abstract thing. You do not make it concrete by voting blocks. That's to destroy democracy. You develop the will to democracy in such a way, the kind of education I was talking about, that people know that you don't compromise your identity by voting your conscience. That's the thing that middle-class good education can give. Not today, because everything is speed.